Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed, it is a great pleasure and a great honor to be here to mark the 150th anniversary of the birth of Mahatma Gandhi, one of the giants of the 20th century, a global icon of peace and an advocate for the most vulnerable. And I thank Prime Minister Modi and the Indian mission for convening this meeting. Gandhiji's vision and philosophy are pillars of the work of the United Nations. Part of his genius lay in his ability to see the interconnectedness and the unity between all things. His political achievements, including leading the movement that ended colonial rule in India, using peace, love, and integrity to prevail. But his vision went far beyond politics to encompass human rights and sustainable development. Gandhi promoted non-violence not just as a philosophy and a political strategy, but as a means to achieve justice and change. Indeed, many of his ideas foreshadow the holistic thinking behind the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. To take just one example, Gandhi understood the importance of advocacy and action around the issue of sanitation and led campaigns for clean drinking water and hygienic facilities when this issue was still deeply taboo. Gandhi's efforts on behalf of the people of lower caste and those considered untouchables, whom he renamed Harijan, or Children of God, should inspire us in our efforts to leave no one behind and to help those farthest behind first. Gandhi looked at the world from the point of view of the lowliest and the most humble, but is acknowledged as one of the greatest leaders of all time. His values truly transcend borders. We have issued our own United Nations stamp to commemorate this occasion, but we are in the company of more than 100 countries that have issued or are planning to issue stamps to honor this global leader. Gandhi's enduring legacy is his continued relevance to our thinking and action on a broad sweep of issues, from protecting the environment to promoting justice, from education to inequality. His teaching remains fresh and thought-provoking, including his emphasis on the importance of facing up to the truth with courage. Perhaps Gandhi's most important legacy was in creating a culture of peace, improving the effectiveness of non-violent non-cooperation, and drawing the world's attention to the gap between what we do and what we are capable of doing. Gandhi's ideas drive the work of the United Nations for equality, empowerment, and global citizenship every day. I know they also drive the thinking of many global leaders. I commend those who have decided to pay tribute to Gandhi's legacy by marking this anniversary with a project connected to one of the Sustainable Development Goals, a fitting way to honor this most action-oriented leader. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Government of India for supporting the elimination of single-use plastic at the United Nations and the installation of solar panels and a green roof on top of the conference building. I wish you all a successful and inspiring meeting and the capacity to fully understand and make living in our hearts the thinking and teaching of Gandhi.
Thank you very much, Secretary Guterres. Thank you very much, Secretary General Guterres, for underlining the synergy between Gandhian values and the objectives of the United Nations. We'd like to inform our audience that Secretary General Guterres has to leave for another meeting. So huge round of applause for Secretary General Antonio Guterres. It is now my privilege to invite His Excellency Mr. Moon Jae-in, President of the Republic of Korea, to address this August gathering.
귀한 자리에 초대해 주신 나렌드라 모디 총리님과 각국 정상 여러분 반갑습니다. 유엔은 2차 세계대전의 참화를 딛고 억압받는 민족들의 독립과 세계 평화를 위해 탄생했습니다. 자유와 평화를 위한 비폭력 저항의 상징 마하트마 간디를 기리는 행사가 유엔에서 개최되어 매우 뜻깊습니다. 평화로 가는 길은 없다. 평화가 길이다. 라는 간디의 가르침은 유엔의 정신이자 한반도 평화의 나침반이 되었습니다. 항구적 평화의 시대를 열고 있는 한국인들에게 간디는 지혜와 용기를 주는 위대한 서성입니다. 간디 탄생 150주년인 올해는 한국의 3.1 독립운동 100주년이기도 합니다. 1919년 3월 1일 시작된 한국의 독립만세운동은 당시 인구의 10%인 200만 명이 참가한 대규모 항쟁이었습니다. 이름도 알려지지 않은 평범한 사람들이 비폭력의 힘으로 일제에 맞섰고 평범한 사람들이 세운 3.1 독립운동의 정신은 민주공화국의 기초가 되었습니다. 100년 전 한국인들은 같은 시대의 간디와 인도인들과 함께 동지적 유대감과 희망을 나누었습니다. 사티아 그라하로 인도를 이끄는 간디에게 존경과 축복을 보냈고 한 걸음씩 독립을 향해 나아가고 있는 인도 국민에게 각별한 신뢰와 기대를 걸었습니다. 1923년 2월 한국인들은 언론을 통해 간디의 영국 상품 불매운동 소식을 접했고 그해 여름 한국의 물산장려운동 역시 절정에 달했습니다. 간디는 비협조하는 학생들을 감옥에 가둔 일제를 비판했고 1927년 1월 5일 절대적으로 참되고 무저항적인 수단으로 조선의 것이 되기를 바란다 라는 격려의 글을 보내기도 했습니다. 한국의 신문들은 1930년 3월 간디의 소금 행진을 23일간 매일 보도했습니다. 한국인들은 간디가 이끄는 인도의 비폭력 불복종 운동에 깊이 공감했고 3.1 독립운동에 감동을 전한 타고르의 시와 동병상련의 메시지를 담은 나이두의 시를 사랑했습니다. 나렌드라 모디 총리님과 각국 정상 여러분, 식민지의 고난을 겪은 인도와 한국은 서로에게 영감과 용기를 준 해방의 동반자였습니다. 지금 인도와 한국은 양국이 공유하는 민주주의와 공동번영의 가치를 기반으로 특별 전략적 동반자 관계를 더욱 발전시켜 나가고 있습니다. 세계는 간디의 정신과 함께 더 나아지고 있습니다. 포용과 진실의 힘으로 아파르트헤이트를 극복한 넬슨 만델라, 1955년 몽고메리 버스 보이콧을 시작한 로자 파커스와 흑인 인권운동을 이끌었던 마틴 루터 킹, 1974년 벌목회사에 맞서 나무를 껴안고 노래를 불렀던 치코 운동의 히말라야 지방의 여성들, 자신과 공동체, 자연과 생명의 존엄을 지키기 위해 비폭력의 힘으로
to protect themselves and their communities, as well as nature and the dignity of life, are the descendants of the great soul
평범한
Gandhi,
사람들이 자기 자신과
guaranteeing
공동체의
the ordinary
운명을
people's
스스로
right to determine
결정하는
their own
권리를
destinies
갖도록 하는 것.
and that of their communities
이것이
constitutes the very starting point of democracy.
희망을 가지지 않으면
Gandhi said that
아무것도 가질
we
수가
have
없다.
nothing
는
without hope.
간디의 말처럼 모든
We can be
사람들이
happy
일상
only when
속에서
we cherish
희망을
and nurture
간직하고
hope
키워갈
in
수
our
있어야
daily lives.
우리는 행복해질 수 있습니다. 오늘
I hope
간디
that
탄생
today's event
150주년 행사가
And now I have the pleasure of inviting His Excellency, Mr. Lee Hsien Loong, Prime Minister of the Republic of Singapore, for his remarks.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very honored to be invited by Prime Minister Modi to attend this commemoration of the 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi's ideas had influence far beyond India's shores. His philosophy of non-violent resistance distinguished India from other independence movements of that era. He championed non-violence to the core of his being. Even more remarkably, he could persuade his countrymen to desist from violence, even when they had been persecuted and severely provoked. As he said, an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. This was sage advice then, and remains so now. We live in a world that's not only more diverse, but also more interconnected. Differences are more easily amplified, and people more readily take offense. Tensions and conflicts are prevalent, not just between countries, races, and religions, but also within them. But if we take Gandhi's message to heart, then we must try our best to resolve differences calmly and peacefully, appreciating the views of the other side, and without inflaming passions or hardening attitudes. In so doing, we will build mutual understanding, tolerance, and respect for one another. Gandhi also firmly believed in the intrinsic equality of every person. And this value resonates with Singapore because our nation was founded on this same principle. We became independent in 1965 because we wanted to be a country where everyone was treated equally, regardless of their race, language, or religion. And we continue to uphold that fundamental ideal. We work very hard to strengthen our social cohesion and expand the common space shared by the different races and religious groups in Singapore. We also strive to make a modest contribution to global efforts to promote mutual understanding and respect. For example, this year Singapore hosted an international conference on cohesive societies. And there we had good exchanges with scholars and practitioners from other countries, learned from their experiences, and we hope they also took away something useful. After Gandhi died and was cremated, Singapore had the honor of receiving part of his ashes. The ashes were immersed at sea in accordance with Hindu custom 2 miles from the southern tip of Singapore. Last year, Prime Minister Modi visited Singapore and unveiled a plaque to mark this spot. There are other places in Singapore which honor Gandhi's legacy, such as the memorial, which is home to our Hindi society, and also a Mahatma Gandhi Center for Universal Values that is in one of our schools. But beyond these physical traces, Gandhi's ideas and ideals have resonated and endured. Gandhi's birthday, the 2nd of October, falls next week. The UN General Assembly has declared it the International Day of Non-Violence. So it is therefore, it's fitting that we gather today to celebrate the legacy of a remarkable man. And may Gandhi's memory continue to inspire and to bring out the best in all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for your enlightening views. And now it's my privilege to invite Her Excellency Ms. Sheikh Hasina, Prime Minister of the People's Republic of Bangladesh, to address this August gathering.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi, distinguished distinguished friends and leaders from different countries, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good evening to you all. I feel honored to join you today as we celebrate the 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi in this commemorative event, Leadership Matters, Relevance of Mahatma Gandhi in the Contemporary World. Gandhiji, a true patriot, a statesman, and a saint, dedicated his life for humankind. He was a beacon of hope, a light in darkness, and a savior in despair. His brilliant and mesmerizing leadership showed the world that an individual could bring earth-shaking social and political change in a non-violent way. Let me cite a famous quote of Mahatma Gandhi. I quote, "You must be the change you wish to see in the world," unquote. Gandhiji believed in people's power, which rests in individuals who are their own masters. His selfless love and affection for people, regardless of social standing, caste, color, creed, or religion, earned him the title Mahatma. His principles of tolerance, nonviolence, and harmonious coexistence would continue to guide us as we seek to build nations. In fact, his ideals of diversity are cherished and celebrated all over the globe wherever democracy is practiced. We are proud to have Gandhi Ashram Trust in Bangladesh since 1946. It follows the Gandhian philosophy and rural development, peace, and social harmony, and works for the rural poor with particular focus on women. Dear friends, as I pay my tribute to Gandhiji, I fondly recall my father and father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who took inspiration from him during his formative stage of leadership. We are now preparing to celebrate the birth centenary of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib beginning in March 2020. Gandhiji's love for common people and ideals of non-violence contributed to shaping Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib's vision of struggle, non-cooperation, peaceful movement against oppression and tyranny by the then Pakistani rulers against the peace-loving Bengalis. In the face of provocations, he remained unmoved and committed to the principles of nonviolence. He, however, declared the independence of Bangladesh in the early hours of 26 March 1971 and called for armed struggle against the Pakistani military dictator, the Pakistan occupation military dictators, when they unleashed an unprecedented genocide against the unarmed civilians in Bangladesh. Whenever I look at Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib's charismatic leadership, his sacrifice and struggle for people, I find a great degree of similarity with Mahatma Gandhi. And both of them were assassinated. Excellencies, you are well aware that we are currently hosting almost 1.1 million Rohingyas who fled violence and atrocities in Myanmar. Despite resource constraint and other serious challenges, our decision to shelter such a huge number of Rohingyas emanated from our conscience, driven by love for humanity, a virtue we see in Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib and Mahatma Gandhi. We are living in a world where hatred and bigotry leading to terrorism and violent extremism are dividing the humankind more than ever before. Gandhiji's philosophy of life and his unwavering support for all peoples can unite us today to meaningfully and effectively address formidable challenges of global concerns like hunger, poverty, and impacts of climate change. On this special day, may I wish that Gandhiji's humanitarian ideals and principles would trump over all divisiveness and establish an equitable world for us and our coming generations. I thank you all.
Thank you, Prime Minister Sina, for your valuable insights. I would like to now invite His Excellency, Mr. Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, for his remarks.
Prime Minister Modi, distinguished leaders, excellencies, I am honored to offer personal reflections on the 150th anniversary of the birth of Mahatma Gandhi. It is fitting that we should be doing so at the headquarters of the United Nations, the epicenter of collective efforts to create a world in which all peoples can enjoy peace, safety, prosperity, regardless of race, gender, religion, or creed. As a consummate leader, devoted to the welfare of others and to sacrifice in pursuit of the greater good, Mahatma Gandhi, the great soul, remains an inspiration and constant source of motivation. His astute leadership and unflinching determination bear testimony to his vision of a kinder and loving world, and to his singular focus on righting wrongs and addressing injustices. Our mission should be clear. We must build on Gandhi's legacy. We must be advocates for the poor and the weak. We must be catalysts for positive change. This is best achieved through greater common understanding, tolerance, and mutual respect. It is not beyond our reach. Gandhi's doctrine of nonviolence and sacrifice, together with his vision for a more equitable world, is a source of personal inspiration to my own leadership, and I know that his life's work will continue to inspire new generations to come. Leaders who are committed to the well-being and advancement of all our peoples. For Gandhi, democracy was the vehicle through which the vision of a more equitable, inclusive, and peaceful world could be achieved. Democratic governance represented an age of awakening for the poorest of the poor, which he said gives the weak the same chance as the strong. Gandhi understood and personified that we can struggle against injustice without violence, and that we can achieve revolutionary change without bloodshed. As members of this most important global body, we must continue to hold fast to Gandhi's principle of peace and the rejection of violence as a means of settling our differences. The UN Charter is aligned with the principles and philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi. It states, "The only true basis of enduring peace is the willing cooperation of free peoples in a world in which, relieved of the menace of aggression, all may enjoy economic and social security." Confronted as we are by violence, terrorism, and extremist ideology, we must ensure that Gandhi's legacy is remembered and celebrated as a beacon of hope for us to pursue. As Gandhi powerfully demonstrated, nonviolence is a weapon of the strong. Mahatma Gandhi, the epitome of selfless and dedicated commitment to protecting the downtrodden and the outcast, continues to resonate with all of us. He remains as relevant today as he did over a century ago. He has left us a profound legacy and an example for this and succeeding generations to follow as we strive for peace, social justice, inclusive and sustainable economic development. I thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for your words of wisdom. It is now my honor to invite Her Excellency, Ms. Jacinda Ardern, Prime Minister of New Zealand, to address this distinguished gathering.
Ina mana, ina reo, ina rangatira mā, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Kia ora and namaste. I would like to begin by acknowledging the host of this event, Prime Minister Modi, and I want to thank you for the invitation to speak here today. Our presence here, I hope, is a reflection of the close ties between New Zealand and India, but also the legacy of Mahatma Gandhi, which was felt in the furthest corners of the globe, including New Zealand, where I learnt of Mahatma Gandhi as a schoolgirl. I would also like to acknowledge my fellow speakers. As political leaders, there is much that we can learn from Gandhi as we search for common ground to address the world's pressing problems. For me, there are three aspects of Gandhi's message that carry particular weight: tolerance, equality, and the sanctity of non-violence and peace. These are values that we should always keep in the forefront of our minds, but not just in good times, but especially when faced with difficult choices. In New Zealand, we have recently witnessed the tragic consequences of intolerance and violence. An act of terrorism that sought to divide us, that took the lives of 51 innocent worshippers. Yet in the face of this act of hatred and violence, the New Zealand Muslim community opened their doors for all New Zealanders and the world to grieve with them. Their act of peace was a powerful and empowering message. In opening their doors, they sowed the seeds of diversity, humanity, forgiveness, and what we call in New Zealand, aroha, or love. They broke a potential cycle of violence. At a time when religion could have been used to divide us, we saw the unifying power of interfaith and intercultural understanding. We witnessed, as Gandhi himself understood, the inner truth of all faiths, the commonalities of dignity, of humanity and compassion that bind all people and indeed all religions. The 15 March attacks are a tragedy that we will not forget and that require us to reflect on what we need to do and be if we're to create the society that we desire. But we also have to be reminded of the power of holding true to the values that should be universal. As Gandhi himself said, the very first step in nonviolence is that we cultivate in our daily life, as between ourselves, truthfulness, humility, tolerance, and loving kindness. We must build societies that are inclusive of all religions, races, genders, and that solve disputes without recourse to violence. New thinking is also required to address the inequality that continues to blight the existence of many. These are challenges for my country, New Zealand, just as they are for many others. But like Gandhi, we should not be afraid to stand up and transform our societies for the better. Gandhi also modelled the expression of political dissent through non-violent opposition. Gandhi's peaceful march across Western India to protest against attacks on salt created a path for countless other non-violent political movements throughout the 20th and 21st centuries. We continue to see this power today as our young people march to effect change across the globe, creating a safe space for the expression of different ideas, for political debate and dialogue, whether it be on the streets or online, remains an essential part of our democratic and pluralistic societies. It is critical in resolving tensions in a peaceful manner. I believe that Gandhi's legacy is as relevant today as it ever was. It calls on us to reject bigotry and embrace kindness and truth. It calls on us to strive for equality no matter how difficult and entrenched systems are, and it demands that we recognise the lasting value of peace. Let us all recommit to those principles as we acknowledge 150 years of an enormous legacy. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for your insightful remarks. This brings us to the close of this event. On behalf of the delegation of India, I take this opportunity to thank the world leaders, dignitaries, and distinguished guests present this afternoon. I would like to request the audience to kindly remain seated as we wait for our leaders to leave.
Sit.